日本時間20日、ロサンゼルスの病院で右肘の靭帯を修復する手術を受けた大谷翔平。大谷が受けた手術の詳しい方法は、まだ明らかになっていないため断定はできませんが、執刀医の復帰の予測時期などから考えると、今回の手術は5年前に受けたトミー・ジョン手術ではなく、人工靭帯などを使う新しい術式を採用した可能性が考えられています。人工靭帯を使った手術は、トミー・ジョン手術よりも新しい術式で、インターナルブレースと呼ばれる人工靭帯を患部に移植して損傷した靭帯を強化する方法とのこと。手術を行った医師によると、ピッチャーとしては再来年のシーズン、バッターとしては来シーズンの開幕から復帰できる見通しだということで、インターナルブレースは、術後3ヶ月ほどでスローイングを再開でき、復帰までの期間が7ヶ月前後と早いのが特徴で、トミー・ジョン手術よりもおよそ半分程度の期間で復帰できるとされています。この方法なら、2025年にピッチャーとして復帰できるという執刀医の見通しと矛盾はありません。そんな中、アメリカ ESPN のロサンゼルスの番組に、スポーツ医学のスペシャリスト、整形外科医のアラン・ベイヤー医学博士が出演し、今回大谷が受けた手術について、
第2のトミージョン手術だ。
と、トミー・ジョン手術と非常に似ている手術であるという見解を示し、手術の内容について詳しく解説してくれていましたので、日本語字幕付きでご紹介していきます。
Carlos Icy with ESPN Los Angeles, and we're changing lanes and heading into the road to recovery with Dr. Alan Beyer of the Hoag Orthopedic Institute. Doc, I don't know if we call this the second inning, but we're talking about Shohei Ohtani again. I like referring to a Shohei day as him being on the mound. But this Shohei day is because we have an update on his surgery. He got an elbow procedure, a quote-unquote elbow procedure, according to him and the Angels. Doc, how do you read this?
This is a tough one to decipher, Carlo. I'll tell you. I mean, I've looked at Dr. Elatrosh's statement after the surgery as to what he did, and what he describes in words sounds a lot like a Tommy John procedure. I mean, there's some things that differ. He talks about the ligament being healthy, but they reinforced it with more viable tissue, and they probably also used a stent, which we use a lot in this kind of procedure, which is just a broad suture to reinforce the tissue even more. And then they repaired the area that was apparently acutely involved this time, beginning of August when this happened, which was supposedly the distal end of the ligament, not the proximal end, not the end up near the humerus. But when you do the original Tommy John surgery, you basically reconstruct the whole ligament, proximal to distal. So if part of it tears again, by definition, it's kind of a failure of the original reconstruction. And now you're going to reconstruct it again, and you are reconstructing. You're not repairing. He didn't just sew the ends of Shohei's own ligament back together. That would be called a repair. But as soon as you add more tissue to it to make it stronger, wherever that tissue comes from, it's a reconstruction by definition. So he had an ulnar collateral ligament reconstruction. Sounds an awful lot like a Tommy John procedure to me, although since this is something new, maybe we'll be calling it the Neil Elatrosh procedure. I don't know, but I certainly look upon this as being akin to basically a second Tommy John surgery.
Doc, that's why you're the expert, because as a fan, I remember seeing Ohtani's post on Instagram and looking for the words Tommy John and even the Angel statement, and you don't see the words Tommy John. I was surprised that they kept it broad with elbow procedure, but that's how you read it. And you mentioned Dr. Neil Elatrosh. Isn't it kind of interesting and kind of share your perspective if it's actually common? But Dr. Neil Elatrosh, ironically, is a Dodgers team physician, and he's working on an Angels player who some Dodger fans are hoping is a future Dodger.
Yeah, that's fun. Well, I trained with Dr. Curlin and Dr. Joe back in the early 80s, which is the same place where Neil did his sports medicine training with Dr. Joe. I know Neil. Neil's a very talented surgeon. He takes care of a lot of the professional teams in the LA area. So even though he's the team physician for the Dodgers, he still does a lot of the surgeries for the Angels players. Lou Yoakum for many years was the Angels doctor. May he rest in peace. He unfortunately left us too soon a number of years ago. So it's not unusual for a physician who's a team doctor for another team to operate on a player from a different team. And it's not like he's going to muck it up on purposely so the Dodgers don't take him. Or, I mean, that stuff doesn't happen. That's only in Hollywood movies. But I think that Neil's reputation. I mean, he just did Aaron Rodgers' Achilles tendon. Big week for Neil Elitrosh, right? Aaron Rodgers and Shohei Ohtani. I think that Neil's very well respected in the profession. I really think that in this particular case, this is such a unique circumstance because of Shohei becoming a free agent after the World Series is over this year, that probably on the advice of counsel and his agent and other people, they tried to avoid the words second Tommy John procedure because I think they felt that the perception of those words would lower his value if he is able to renegotiate a free agent contract come the end of October. I'm not sure he's going to be able to because this throws everything into, a world of doubt. How's he going to come back from this? Neil stated very, very forthrightly that he thinks he'll be hitting by opening day of 2024 and pitching by 2025. That's a pretty short timeline for the return to hitting. That's only 6 or 7 months hence, which would be quick after a whatever you want to call this operation is being done. It's possible. But I don't know that's going to be enough of a possibility for general managers in Major League Baseball to step up to the plate with a check for a couple $100 million. They were talking $600 million before Shohei was injured this time. I don't think it's going to be that number, but I don't know that many general managers in baseball would take that kind of risk right now until you're further down the road to steal our title, the road to recovery, to see how the player's doing and have an idea about what his true value to the team would be. So this is still lots and lots of question marks still here.
今回の手術は二刀流を長い間続けるための決断といい、大谷は投手としては2025年まで復帰できないと言われていますが、2024年の開幕時には打者として復活する見通しです。さて、気になる大谷のシーズン終了後の去就ですが、右肘故障の影響について、アメリカの現地メディアからは、
選手としての価値は半分になる
との厳しい指摘も出ています。一方、
来季は投げられないが、その後投手として活躍する目は十分ある。しかも彼はホームラン40本以上を打てる強打者だ
などと評価する声は絶えません。再び不死鳥のように蘇ることを期待したいですね。これからも大谷の活躍から目が離せません。皆様からのコメントもお待ちしております。